I am back. Hey guys. Hopefully the connection doesn't go off again. I was on a mountain, so I drove into town, and hopefully it doesn't go off now. So we're just gonna wait for hi Laura, how are you? Okay. I'm just waiting for Jonathan and Andrew to come. And okie dokie. Hold on a second. Hey everybody. Okay. This should be better.
Yeah, it already seems better. You can see yourself clear.
Yeah,
I don't know what's wrong with my mouse. It's driving me crazy.
This
Okay.
should be better.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
It already seems better.
Okay, so Jonathan should be coming.
Yeah, let me
now.
My phone app. I have a phone app on this computer, and it just doesn't even want to work. I don't understand it. It's just irritating.
Make sure. Hopefully, it's not too loud because I am at a hotel. But it's better than being on a mountain. So
yeah, it's not letting me post. Hold on, I gotta let me just do something real quick. Oh, there it is, right there. So let me get it over to him. Hold on.
There we go. Oh yes, please. Thank you. I love. Thanks so much. Ooh, I love. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I got it to him. So I put it in the group chat, so he'll have it. So hopefully he gets it.
Awesome. Okay, so first of all, I want to get a few things. I'm going to share my screen here. And what else do I want to? Oh, pictures. Oh, I have to do a few things here. Okay. I had to make a few texts. There's Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, good evening, ladies. How you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Okay, so this is much better. Sorry for the technical difficulties earlier. So for everyone who's here, and we are talking about Christopher and Kylan Schulte, and we went to Bragg, Utah, back in November, and we spent a few days there. We talked to locals, talked to friends of the girls, and we found out a lot of information that we're going to share with you guys. We do have to keep sources anonymous, just for privacy reasons. Of course, it is an ongoing investigation. And if you haven't seen episode 1 of Kai Cry, I did release it today, but that still doesn't have everything in it. It's just kind of like the first part. So I was just watching that too. But later if you want. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. So yeah. Okay. And then I do also okay, I'm going to share my screen here because this is also important. I'm going to show you guys where we are in the investigation. Share screen. Can you guys see my screen? So right now, we are currently looking for a 9mm gun. And this is who you can contact. Phone number of Grand County Sheriff. Anyone that was, so this is very important. Anyone who was in the area between August 10th to the 18th.
Blow it up. It's kind of, you can't really see it. Yeah. Oh no, I mean make it bigger.
Okay. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is important. We need video footage from the area. Diane told me today that someone who was was at the wedding actually took drone footage from took drone footage, and that was the 14th of August. So,
August 14th, we found out somebody from the wedding actually took drone footage. And has that drone footage, to the best of your knowledge, been turned over to law enforcement?
I believe so. Yeah, Diane said that they're checking it out to see what's going on with that. So that's good news.
Yes, so I've identified at least 38 people that attended that wedding, and I reached out and spoke to I think about half. I'm just a little under 20 of them, and every single one of them that I spoken to confirmed they went to the wedding, and they confirmed that they talked to LE, but would not provide me any more information. They said they cannot talk about the case, but they were contacted, or either they contacted law enforcement or law enforcement contacted them, but they spoke to law enforcement.
Okay. So you believe you probably spoke to a little under 20 people? That's not bad.
Can you guys?
You went like completely robotic.
Can you hear?
We're gonna have technical difficulties.
It's going robotic.
Yeah.
You know,
Hear me now.
Robotic. Something's going on.
I don't understand.
Olivia, try get rid of that screen. Is that better?
It's our internet.
Log out.
Let me try my. Is it good now? So bad.
You're robotic.
Easy. Should I oh my god, I hate these.
So log out and log back in. I think that would be.
Yeah, she's gonna do that.
She's
getting so frustrated. She's like literally ready to leave North Carolina right now. She's pretty frustrated because she can't get on. She's got a lot of work she's trying to get out, and it's just not cooperating with her.
How about now?
Much better.
Welcome back, Olivia.
I was almost about to pull my hair out.
It's not. Yeah, it's almost not your night.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
you produce wonderful, excellent videos, but tonight is not going well for you. But that happens. It happens, and it's okay. And everything will be fine.
But you can hear me now. It's not robotic.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Thank the Lord. Okay. So where were we?
So you're talking about the drone footage from Whispering Oaks. Some of the people that attended the wedding around the 13th and the 14th.
Yes. Another thing is, so that list is private. Though. The wedding list, correct? Yes.
Well, I did my own sleuthing to get, attendees. I'll just say it like this, the ones that hosted the wedding were posting on social media about their wedding, and then I just followed the likes and the comments and narrowed down people, and then just reached out to people in private messaging that I would assume attended the wedding based off that. And, and they validated it. A lot of them, like I said, about half of the people I reached out to validated, some actually gave me other names that attended. So that's where I came up with a bigger list and validated that, they were there, but none of them are talking. None of them are talking, and it's weird because all of them are saying the same thing. We cannot comment on this. We're told not to talk, in that nature. So law enforcement's in their ear telling them they're not. I don't know why they're under any obligation not to talk, because they're not suspects. Who knows? I mean, but they're not talking. Nobody wants to talk and really just give any specifics about that day or anything they heard, seen. I'm sure they were all interviewed, but to what extent and what information do they really know?
Mm-hmm. And the good news is we were able, even though we can't disclose this person's identity, we were able to provide law enforcement as well as Jason Jensen a name of a person that apparently did actually hear some gunfire that went off in and around the area in which the girls were at.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it's appropriate this time. So we say names.
Oh yeah, no.
No, we're not going to say names, but yeah, there is an individual that claims he was there around the time. He, he heard gunshots. I posted something on Twitter about the shot guy. I kind of was wrong on that. It wasn't one shot. I'm talking about multiple shots.
Mm-hmm.
He heard shots. He also claimed to us that he was at Woody's the same night they were at Woody's too.
Yeah.
So he was at Woody's. He's up there in the area, and then he hears shots. I mean, this guy might know something, or he's making these claims. He's claiming he is in the area, and hopefully, law enforcement, we pass that information on to the investigator Jensen. Wonderful guy. You guys spoken to him. Jensen's, was a nice guy. When you guys had conversations with him, we passed it along to law enforcement there. Grant County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff White, I think the lead investigator there, Meacham, and I think we also let Sloan, the attorney, the district attorney, Sloan, because we had a conversation with Sloan too. Remember, we had a conversation with Sloan, and I'm very grateful that she actually took the time to speak to you guys. She could have very well just hung up, and she took in that information and said she will forward it to the appropriate authorities. So that's good.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, there was a law enforcement individual that we did speak to, and we actually tried to get his attention the second time because we had more information to provide him, and he actually refused to speak with us. So the only way we could really get that information off to law enforcement was actually going through the district attorney to pass that information through her.
And with this guy, it's also been known that this guy that told us this information about the gunshots and, seeing them at Woody's, he also said he was employed down at the bottom of the mountain at the beginning of where LaSalle Mountain Road is. He worked down there at the bottom. I'm not going to even say that a business either, but, he's in the general area.
Yeah.
And I think his same concept was with Kylen and Crystal, where there was a problem with affordable housing and problems with housing. So he was kind of living out there too, and camping out there at the same time around the same area.
So just to kind of give a backstory to the folks that are not familiar with this case too much and don't know this area too well. So Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner were two lesbian couple that were married, that were recently married, and they were part of the van life community. And in Moab, Utah, where this crime occurred, they have an extremely high cost of living. For example, a dilapidated 2-bedroom, 2-bath house would cost in the upwards of $500,000. So a lot of the general people that work there, the McDonald's employees, the grocery store workers, the car, the gas stations, those people could not actually afford to live in Moab, Utah. So the ones that chose to live in that city and not commute from Monticello, which is a county over, they would actually live out of their vehicles in the parking lots. But during the summer, it's too hot there. So many of the locals that are in the van life and living out of their cars end up going up the mountain to where it's cooler. And it's about 20 or 30 degrees cooler, I believe.
Yeah, they said 20 at, in the summertime. You're talking, I believe Moab's elevation was like 4,500 feet or something, and up where they were, it was according to the Whispering Oaks advertisement, it's just under 8,000 feet up in the air. So you're talking almost double. There is a significant difference in humidity and elevation each 1,000 feet that you go up. So it probably is a lot cooler, maybe 20 degrees cooler up there. A relief, because in the summertime in Moab it does get hot. I looked on the average highs in the summertime. We're talking, 100 degrees in that range. So anyone that doesn't have a home and doesn't have a fan, needs some relief. You need some relief. You can't just, be out there in your van, your scorching hot van, you want some sort of relief, and apparently that's what they did. Go up to that area they liked, and where it was Warner Lake, and that's even higher. Warner Lake is even higher in elevation. I believe Warner Lake, if you look, Warner Lake is over 9,000 square feet up. So they were just seeking way to sleep peacefully and more comfortably.
Right.
Can you guys see the screen right now?
Yep.
Is my audio echoing?
So far, you're doing good.
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. All right. That's what I wanted. Yeah, I just wanted to show a visual just for people, but obviously here's Moab, and then LaSalle Loop. Let's actually look up Whispering Oaks, because that is, you guys can hear me, right? Okay. LaSalle Loop Road, Whispering Oaks Ranch is the location. Okay. And the girls camped.
Nope, go down more.
Right. No, it was right here.
Yeah. Right there.
Right there. And they were found right here in this creek. So you can see how far that is from the wedding. So the wedding was happening right in this area. It looks far, but this is only about 300 yards, I think.
Yeah.
And you notice at the spot where they were murdered, you can actually see one of the Whispering Oaks cabins on the top side of LaSalle Mountain Loophole. It's the bigger cabin on the top of the hill there. You can
scroll back in. No. Go.
Right there. You can see it. That cabin.
That's
right
the
there.
One?
Yep, that one. You can see that cabin right there from the murder crime scene. You could see them, with your eye. So it's not that far at all. And you're talking, it's downward a little bit. I mean, of course, somebody up there could have heard gunshots for sure. It would echo through that mountain. Yeah, for sure.
We definitely learned, I think, with Summer Wells that the mountains, the sound travels in the mountainous ranges. You would think they wouldn't, but it actually does travel quite a distance.
For future reference, if we go back, it wouldn't be, we could maybe take one of our cars up there by the cabin and just start honking the horn and seeing how easy it could be heard from the murder scene. Just kind of get a sound idea.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
We could do that next time when we go back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, it's a very remote area, considering, I'm from the East Coast. I mean, that was a windy mountain road that was very narrow at points. And, you got to be very vigilant and cautious going up there. You're spinning around, you're going at different elevations up and down. It's kind of scary. In a sense, I was kind of worried about going over the edge of the roads because there's no barriers. I mean, the roads are very narrow. Yeah. If another car is coming the other way, you have to be very, very, very careful not to crash into the car or go over the ledge. And I didn't see much traffic, but again, we went there in November. It's my understanding that a lot of the locals and a lot of people camp out there in the summertime. We did see campers on the side of the road and off the road a little bit in these little areas. Not a lot, though. We didn't see a lot of traffic. And when we were up there at the crime scene, I think we saw one car go by every 20 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I would say that's fair because we could actually, believe it or not, from the campsite, you could literally see all the cars coming either way. You definitely could see it for sure. You could see them and you can hear the car coming. Yeah, but at night, especially in the pitch black, you'd be able to see it very, very well. Absolutely.
Not only that, but with the headlights of these vehicles, because you're going to have headlights and no one's going to drive up there without headlights. We were actually going to go to the murder scene at night to check it out, but we were advised it's not safe to drive up that mountain at nighttime. It's very narrow. We're not used to it. So we aborted that mission. We went in the daytime, but I would like to see what it's like up there at night.
Right. Yeah, it was definitely, I know Olivia's mom was a little nervous taking some of those turns, and It was a little nerve wracking, but I asked all the locals and they say, they're so used to driving that mountain. They just zit. They had no problem driving it at
They
night.
know it like the
whereas
palm
we
of their
would.
hand.
Yeah, so a lot of I've been putting out the question on Twitter and social media about the road being frequently traveled, and I'm hearing a lot of different things. Locals are saying, hey, it's frequently traveled, but other people are saying, how could it be? It's a remote road, not many cars go by. I mean, I can tell you, it is in the middle of the forest, the national forest. And besides Whispering Oaks, I didn't see any homes, residential homes anywhere off on that road going up from the bottom of it all the way up. I didn't see any. Maybe that's because it's in the national forest and you're not allowed to build. I don't know the reasons for that, but to me, I didn't feel like it was a frequently traveled road. I would think of it as a road that you would not want to go on. The only reason why you're going to go up there really is to sightsee or camp. But just to travel through from one location to another, there's other alternative routes that are much safer and flat.
Yeah. Well, one of the people that we had spoken to up there that worked for one of the hotels had said that, that during their peak tourist season, people just kind of pull over and just camp anywhere that they can find a spot. However, that particular area where the girls weren't as well known because it's not a marked campsite. So really, only locals or people that frequent Moab would really know about that specific area.
Yeah. And it was interesting when we went up there. Remember, we saw some of these tour vans.
Yeah.
For I seen vans up there, a lot of tour people and people on bicycles, a lot of people on bicycles riding around on bicycles around there, mountain bikes. But other than that, I would see the occasional camper go through car, but that's it. I saw a car every 20 minutes and we were there for a few hours.
Yeah.
I did not see heavy traffic going up. I don't remember passing many cars passing us at all. Whispering Oaks at the time we went there actually there was somebody staying in the Whispering Oaks
one of the top
one. Yeah. When we drove up there to the top. But I think all the bottom cabins, I don't think anyone was staying there. We went up to Warner Lake. There was a few people up there at Warner Lake. It was cold. There was some snow on the ground. But I didn't really see a lot of people in that area.
But let's get back to Warner Lake.
And we're talking like even in Moab, when the one thing I was surprised about going to Moab, it's not a very populated town. I think it only has 5,000 people or 6,000 people. And believe it or not, Grand County, the county Moab is in, that county only has like 10,000 people in the entire county. Mm-hmm. But when we went to Moab and we were downtown Moab, I was surprised at the constant traffic going through. Mm-hmm. Must be tourists because I've seen nonstop trucks and cars and campers and vans going right through that center, I guess Main Street there, center right through it. It was constant flow. And so, it goes with what the sheriffs told us that, yay, this is a tourism town. We get, up to 3 million people a year come through this area. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of people considering the population.
Right. And
only 5,000.
And while we were there, like you said, there was a lot of traffic going through there. Busy all hours of the night. And how did you feel about, for example, when we went to Rogersville, Tennessee, we saw signs of summer peppered everywhere. Describe.
None. I'll tell you what was very disturbing. The one thing I pointed out immediately going into Moab, every single street corner in Moab had all kinds of stickers and flyers for events and bar events and concerts and stuff like that, but not one picture of Kylan or Crystal.
Yeah, that's one thing that was kind of sad to me is how we didn't see one single flyer at all. But then again,
asking the public's help, to solve this crime or anything. You didn't see it at the.
And another thing that I want to Oh, sorry, I
At the
didn't.
park, we went to, I guess it's called Swanee Park, I believe.
Yeah. Swanee
Uh,
City or Swanee.
Yeah.
You know,
Swanee.
at the downtown information center, the information center in the center of Moab, didn't see any. The library, didn't see anything at the library. Flyers up there of all kinds of other events, but nothing. Nothing in any businesses going along the main street there, or any, in the windows, nothing on telephone poles, nothing. Nothing. It's as if they don't want the public to know what happened here, or they're trying to hide it, or they're just no one cares. But I'm assuming people do care, but I don't get it, because usually in crimes, when there's an unsolved double homicide in a very small community, the community would be rallying behind finding answers and finding out who's responsible, and it just didn't seem like the urgency with this case, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. That was very sad. But another thing that I want to talk about too is we need to focus on the girls too.
And one more thing, Olivia, not to cut you off, but everyone that we spoke to in reference to them said both of them are the kindest souls.
That's what I was gonna say.
No one said anything negative about them. Nothing. They all said, just wonderful stories about they're just like, just a wonderful human beings, and just did kind acts of kindness, both of them.
Yeah.
So for that, and not, no flyers out there asking for answers, it's just baffling to me. It was mind-boggling.
Yeah, it was very baffling. The girls were, everyone we talked to had amazing things to say with them. Like, if I could just describe the girls, they were like two rays of sunshine, and it makes you wonder what if, their killer was jealous of them because of the love that they had. It was so beautiful that some people go through their entire lifetime and they don't experience a love that they had. It was beautiful, and that's something that I want people to know, is that they had a beautiful, beautiful love, and it was stolen away from them, and it's horrible. And
we didn't hear any incidents of anything bad that these two individuals done. Nothing. We've talked to some of the business. What did we went in the Dollar Tree, Chevron, different gas stations, and I don't. Yeah,
restaurants, bars.
Restaurants, and they knew of them and said good things. No one said anything bad, like, hey, these people are involved with bad people or nothing. We didn't hear anything. Like they hung around with the wrong crowd. No, we didn't hear any, because we were trying to say, okay, well, maybe they're associates, maybe their associates are bad apples or something. We didn't hear anything about them associating with bad people at all. None.
Yeah, they're very, very sweet girls. We trying to think of another thing that I wanted to talk about. So the McDonald's, we went to, that's where Crystal Turner worked. She worked there for many years, and it was like a family over there. And when we went there, they welcomed us with open arms.
Yeah.
However, we had a different feeling when we went to Moonflower, where Kylen worked. They didn't want to talk or answer any questions, and kind of basically kicked us out. But it was different at McDonald's.
When we were outside the Moonflower, I guess the people, the day they received supplies, and some of their workers just freaked out on us, simply by asking, how are you doing? What's going on? We were nice and courteous. We weren't disrespectful. We weren't overstepping our boundaries. We were just trying to find answers or ask anyone that knows anything about Kylan. And they just flipped out on us, like started screaming, like saying they're tired of being attacked. They're tired of being attacked. Like and I tried to emphasize, we're here in peace. We're just, and they just freaked out on us. McDonald's, they were all welcoming and nice. Outside of McDonald's, the vigil that was outside, the makeshift memorial that they made on the tree right by the McDonald's sign was amazing. The co-workers all collectively put, pictures of them and candles and flowers, and I think there was some sort of moon catcher, or what is those things? Dream catcher.
Dream catchers, yeah.
On the tree. They took a lot of time and effort to honor and respect them, but I didn't see it at the Moonflower. I got a totally different vibe, and I've reached out to the ownerships there. They got like a group of board of director type oriented people, and I reached out and just asked, what's going on? Anybody willing to talk and stuff like that? And they would just respond, no comment. Like really, like even in bold capitalization when I sent them emails, like nope, they don't want to talk there. Why?
There's some weird, I don't know, element there. I can't put my finger on it, but I just can't understand why nobody is willing to help these girls there outside of the friends that they had at McDonald's, and there are a few, I shouldn't say that, there are a few people that we've befriended that we still talk to from that area. One of the sources from the hotel, and then we did meet a lot of people out there on the road, but it just, outside of those few people, it's like everybody's got their head in the ground there. Even some of the locals, they never even considered the fact that they have a killer on the loose.
Yeah, we emphasized that when we started just talking to random locals. How do they feel? Do they feel unsafe and everything like that? And some of them weren't even aware of what happened, which was odd too. This is a double murder. I mean, that's a serious matter here. I was shocked that they actually have only a one small newspaper in that town. They don't have any digital TV stations at all in that town. It seems like the only networks that are covering this case are hundreds of miles away in Salt Lake City. It's just there's not a lot of media out there at all to bring awareness. I would love to go back and just go around every street corner and put flyers and pictures. Anyone can help and start taping them on telephone poles or businesses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we need to. I actually talked to the source that I communicate with there, and told her that we're going to bring a bunch of flyers with us, and if they take them down, we're leaving a bunch of there so the residents there can stick them back up. The residents are concerned. There are quite a few people that are, ostriches and realize there's something going on here and want to know why this has been dragging out. When we talked to Sloan, this district attorney, she basically told us that, this is at a stalemate because they haven't gotten one stick of forensics back. Nothing.
Well, I'll touch on that. That takes time. They want to make sure they dot their I's and cross their T's correctly, and she emphasized to us that, they can't go in a sense of interviewing suspects until the forensics come back, because now at that point, I guess forensics in a legal aspect, you have leverage to throw it on someone, so that takes time, I don't know how much time does it take. Does it take months? Does months get DNA or the Jimmy Keen's flats, the telephone pings and the telephone, the way that all that works. How long does that actually take? Mm-hmm. Has it been? Did it come back yet? Did it? And did any of these?
We need to call. I'm putting it on the list. We need to call Sloan again and just see where we are.
They don't have. They're not obligated to reveal active investigations.
No, she wasn't, but she did let us know that we could call back anytime, and she would update us with what she could. Might as well take her up on that.
So here's what we want to talk about. Oh, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Jonathan?
So yeah, while we were out there, we were able to collect. I mean, the people we talked to, I'm very grateful for the McDonald's co-workers and the friends of Crystal at McDonald's. They came out, they went above and beyond hospitality towards us. They all sat down and talked to us. We're very grateful for that. We gathered insight from that, and also the church, the individuals at that church we went to right by the McDonald's. They were very, very extremely helpful. We were able to obtain names and individuals, and being out there, how many people do you think we've identified as possible suspects that we were able to?
We went up there with
that information.
With 5 people, 6 if you counted Brian Laundrie. Went up there with 5 people total, including Brian Laundrie. We came back with removing the majority of the ones we went up there with, and coming back with like 30 more people's names on that list.
Yeah, and we passed that information over. I mean, We spoke to Kylan's father. You did it via text. We communicated with him. We gave him, some information. He was very grateful and kind for that information. Olivia, you talked to Crystal's mom. So
Yes,
we have
Beverly.
channels. We have channels of communication open with the family members on both sides and the private
Yes.
investigator. And we've given the information that we've gotten thus far, and anything new, we will continue to give the information to them. And also law enforcement there, the Grand County Sheriff. I can tell you, I haven't done it in a while, but for about a couple weeks ago, up to a couple weeks ago, I was a really pest on the Grand County Sheriff. I was sending them continuous grandma, which is an open records requests, seeking information and stuff. And I know they were receiving it, and I know they were probably saying this pain in the butt. And I'm not trying to be mean or vindictive. I'm just trying to, get them to do something and try to keep, Crystal and Kylan's names, not let the case go cold, and remind them that, public wants some answers, and the public wants some progress with this investigation, or at least reveal something, because they might have something at their chest right now that they just are not releasing to the public. And maybe if they did that, it could open up a new can of worms and more clues, and open up new avenues for the public like us and or their friends and associates of Crystal and Kylan to step forward and say, hey, I know something about this, and could get this investigation progressing more and get answers more quickly.
Right. And another thing is we've seen it in the past where law enforcement, gets stuck and they ask for the public's help. In this case, it seems almost like it didn't exist. It didn't happen. I mean, you're not hearing law enforcement talk about it. You're not seeing posters or flyers stuck anywhere. We have those little local, you got some yourself, Jonathan, the little papers that were in those restaurants. We flipped through there. They had like September and October and November right there, flipping through. No advertisements in that related to anything related to this case.
These are local, like, trade magazines and magazines that are at, like, for instance, across the street from the Moonflower is that coffee shop there.
Yeah.
And they got, once you go in the lobby there, I got all these booklets of like what's happening in Moab and stuff like that. I didn't see anything on Crystal, anything in there asking for the public's help. And I know that probably costs money to do, but they could do it out of courtesy and put a little ad in there to just remind the community. Post office, putting their picture at the post office right there across from the Moonflower. Putting their pictures at the information center, the local, because, if this was a tourist that did it, maybe another tourist saw, and put their pictures in that information center that is in downtown. I just think the community itself could step up more and try to get answers. Yeah. We even went to the library, and I was curious about the library aspect. The van life, we were told that a lot of van lifers that live out of their vans actually go to the library to use the free Wi-Fi there in the computers, in the library. And my thinking was maybe the murderer even went there, beforehand or afterward to do some searches on the computer there, like they had a bunch of computers in there that anyone could go in and use. You just get one of these little passcodes and they, can go in, but has the authorities, go on these computers and try to see, the data on there and see if anyone, used them around that time.
Right.
And look up certain searches. And, if there was some odd searches, then you just get onto the surveillance and you see who was on there. A lot of times what I've learned and seen and read about when people commit crimes is a lot of times the killer will start reading newspapers and reading online articles about the case because they just want to see if the police know something, or they want to read about it or whatever. So it's very well possible that the killer or killers are, reading about this case, to make sure they cover their tracks or make sure the police aren't on them or just hearing updates or, just looking. So the person could have very well went in that public library if it was, if the killer was a van life person or a friend of associate of Kylan and Crystal, that's in the same situation as them. Because remember we were told that Crystal and Kylan, they didn't have phone service, right? I think they only use people's Wi-Fi's to use their phone. They didn't have the service, so I'm sure a lot of people,
like many other people up there, they couldn't afford to have the phone service, so they could only use their phone to check internet when they had Wi-Fi.
I came up with also, I was like, well, why pick that spot that they picked to camp right by Whispering Oaks? And then I said, well, it's interesting. I looked up on Whispering Oaks website and they said they offer free Wi-Fi, to the residents there. So maybe there was a Wi-Fi hotspot that they would sit there at, because it's very close, and maybe they latched onto their Wi-Fi, and that's why they were there. Right. It's quite possible, whether, police could trace that or, get in their Wi-Fi's, I don't know if that would help, but, the killer could have, their network could have latched onto their Wi-Fi, the Whispering Oaks, just for a second at the time, latched off. I mean, it's worth a shot if they don't know, who did it, you got to just find, they're looking at the Jimmy Flats for the phone records, to try the Wi-Fi at the Whispering Oaks.
Yeah. Possible. I guess anything's possible at this point, but we did find some interesting stuff out. When we went up there, everybody, let's just talk about that time. We were just winding out, the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie case. And because they came in close contact with them, we all naturally thought there was a link there. I would think, after we were there, you were thinking possibly, Jonathan, that there was a huge link there. And I think Olivia and I pretty much thought there really wasn't.
I mean, the reason why I thought that was because, the incident that happened between Brian and Gabby over there at the Arches, at the front of the Arches National Park, police separated both of them. They actually took Brian Laundrie down to the Bowen Motel, which is coincidentally like a block away from the Moonflower, my thoughts started spinning saying, well, okay, Brian stays in the Moonflower, Brian stays in the Bowen Motel for the night. I don't know where Gabby is. Maybe he just started going in town that night and went into Woody's the next day. And met Kylen and Crystal and kind of befriended them because he was desperate because he had no ride. It's Gabby's van. She's gone. And, I thought that theory, but I don't think so. I don't, but I was open-minded to it at the time. We go in on boots on the ground and we try to debunk theories and rule things out. So I really ruled it out. It's always still in the back of my head, but I'm moving forward to other suspects and other participants involved with this besides Brian Laundrie.
Gotcha. And Olivia, I think, was going to talk about.
Can I mention something about Brian Laundrie?
Then we're going to talk about the GoFundMe.
Oh yeah. So before I talk about Brian Laundrie, so here is, let me share my screen right now. Here is the fundraiser that Diane Brooks created. Another thing is I want to talk about Diane. Diane is Crystal Turner's cousin. Diane has been absolutely amazing. We love her. She is doing everything that she can to help, and she's amazing. And she made this GoFundMe, and I saw in the chat people were asking if Jason Jensen is still covering the case. Yes, he is. We're also in contact with Jason Jensen. So the GoFundMe is so you can read about it here, and here it is. So if you guys want to donate, I'll have the link also under this live so you guys can donate. But yeah, shout out to Diane. We absolutely love you.
So, we're talking about suspects, and particular ones that I'm not going to say names, but, obviously the guy that claimed to us he heard the gunshot, he's one. Co-worker at McDonald's that some of the employees were suspect of.
Brian. I was going to talk about him.
There was also at the time an arsonist from California that was in the area that's missing with his dog. That one kind of piqued my interest. The burglary in Colorado, you know, with the guns, you know, what's up with that? Who is that? The individual from Colorado that was facing court charges for burglaries. I think he just had a court hearing the other day, believe it or not. I actually reached out to him. He like immediately screamed at me and just blocked me off Facebook. This guy. So, you know, that's 5 guys there that seem like they're suspect to me. And, you know, hopefully the law enforcement knows these same people or friends, you know what I'm talking about, or people that have been following the case. There's a lot of, there's a small network of people on Twitter that, you know, I follow on Twitter that are really working on this case very, very hard. And I follow them, and we all exchange tags. And I mean, they know they're following this case too. This case is not cold. I can say on Twitter, as far as people not caring, because there is a small army of people on Twitter that are following this case and trying to post any and every updates, you know, and they're actively trying to help solve this case too, or put the pieces together. And kudos and shout outs to them. They're wonderful people too. You know who you are if you're watching. You're good people, and I thank you, and we're very gracious for your hard work too, because a lot of stuff that you provide that we take in too, and try to, you know, put the pieces together to try to solve it.
Yeah. Olivia.
Sorry, guys. I'm back. But yeah, I wanted to that's another thing is social media, how helpful it can be. Again, we are asking for anybody that has footage from August 10th to the 18th that was in the area. Please check dash cams, drone footage, everything. Just like with Gabby Petito's case, if that YouTube channel had not had the GoPro footage of her van, we may never have found Gabby Petito. So
oh, and another suspect
yeah.
too. Another suspect too. Not to cut you off, Olivia. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The hotel manager that gave us information about a creepy guy that tried to lure her up to the mountain 2 weeks prior to the murders. That's another one that should be looked at too. Very weird, bizarre interaction that this hotel employee shared with us with this, I would call him a creepy guy.
Yeah,
we were also looking for the flute guy too. We were looking for the flute guy. You know, we're hearing about the flute. You know, a guy. I swore, and I know you guys heard it too when we were driving through Moab that day. That flute that was being played by some guy at one of the restaurants there, right on the corner. I forget what restaurant that was. We tried to go back, and he was gone. You know, I don't know about the flute guy. You know, I just don't know.
I'm just surprised that the store owners supposedly didn't know who a guy was that was sitting outside of their restaurant playing a flute. They were almost in shock when I asked them, like, what do you mean a flute guy? I'm like,
yeah,
watched them.
You know, and, you know, we went into, you know, one of the things we did, we went into Woody's. You guys put on wigs, went undercover.
Hey, you went undercover too. You had glasses on. You look completely different.
You know, we went into Woody's, and we went in there 2 nights. One, we went in there on a weekend night. I think it was a Friday night, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Friday night, and you guys were just playing pool and mingling with the locals, trying to talk and see if anyone knows anything. And I was sitting there talking to some females, you know, at the table and stuff like that, locals. And, you know, everyone knew them, but no one knew anything. Or they didn't want to tell us, or they just don't know. Well, we tried to go into Woody's there and try to, you know, befriend people and try to get some information. We talked to the bartender at Woody's.
Olivia was, the bartender thought Olivia was my daughter.
Yeah. You know, the bartender was giving us some great information. We passed that information over to law enforcement too.
Yep. But there's a lot of unanswered questions there. It's pretty scary. You can go to some place like that and something like this happen and nobody knows. I mean, they know, but they don't know.
I tell you what, though, you know, for me, it's a beautiful area. I mean, I was so amazed and all about the rock formations up there and the, you know, the red rocks and the rocks. And, you know, I'm definitely going back on my own little vacation up there to see, you know, the arches and just everything up there. It was just, it's a nice area. Now I could see a possible theory with this, not putting the local governments there, putting this case out there like that. Are they worried that it will endanger tourism? You got a double murder, unsolved, or murderers on the loose. I mean, could that affect tourism? And is that a reason why they're not, adamant about putting this case out there like that? Because it's a beautiful area. I mean, I would love to.
Olivia, you're muted. You're
Sorry.
okay.
I forgot I was muted. But yeah, I agree with Jonathan. It is a very beautiful area. And, that's another reason, I guess, why, the girls wanted to be out there. They felt they liked it a lot. Another thing, though, is they did have a 5-year plan, which I did want to mention, is they did eventually plan. They wanted to go to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and Crystal had land out there, and like a property. So the girls did eventually plan to go back and live a different lifestyle. So that was another thing. But yeah, Moab is very transient. I didn't realize that until we went there. I thought it was like going to be more small and quaint, but because so many people pass through that town, it really makes it harder, because the person that could have murdered them could have just literally been a random person just driving through. And it makes things a lot more difficult. But then again, because their campsite was more secluded and farther away, and that's... Can you guys hear me, or is it echoing?
Yeah, no, we can hear you. I can
We
hear
can
you.
hear you fine.
You sure you can hear me? Okay. Because a lot of locals, they like this area. It could have been someone that they knew or just a local, but then again, we just don't know.
And I would like to just say thank you to Dell. Dell,
Oh, yeah.
Dell took the time out of his day
Yes.
out and kind of give us, take us around in his truck up to the crime scene, because we wouldn't have any idea really where the crime scene was. Very grateful for that. Dell is, you guys know who he is. He's on Twitter. He's posting a lot about this case. He's trying to get it solved too. He just, taking the time and day to help us and give us, provide us insight about this case. And so we see that, taking the time and speaking to us and providing us a lot of insight. We're very, very grateful for that and appreciate it, because both could have just not spoken to us, and we would have been farther behind in this case. Okay.
Yeah, Dell 2000. That's his handle, at Dell 2000, DEL 2000. 2000, and he was very good. He contacted us, he met us, he actually stayed in town, so the next day he could go with us to show us around. He was actually with us at the bar. He went with us to McDonald's after we left the bar. He was a great tour. He was very knowledgeable of the facts, and he has been one of the first people and one of the most tenacious people bringing content to Twitter about this case. And we were privileged enough to have him come and meet us. And what a great guy he was, to boot. I mean, he's an all-around great guy.
We all come in good faith, and it's so good that no egos are involved, and we all collectively, social media people, collectively get together and meet and share and exchange ideas and information and knowledge about particular tragedies, because that's what it's about. It's work. Not one of us single-handedly could solve this case. We need a collective minds together, working in a collective effort to get answers. And everyone can bring something to the table. Everyone has a talent. Everyone knows something that could help, or piece of information, their talent. And we're putting it together, and we're trying to do our part. To try to solve this case. I want this case solved so badly. I want this. I wanted it done before Christmas. Just for the families. I don't know that you guys spoken to the families. I haven't, we exchanged text with Kylan's father, but I feel so bad, and I just want justice for their families. I really do, and I feel their pain. I do, and I say to myself, I'm going to do anything I can possibly do to get help get answers for this family, and get closure for this family, and justice for this family, both families.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And what was I going to say? We should we talk about well, okay, so we do. I think one of the most important things that we did figure out when we were in Moab, well, there's a lot of important things, but one of them was the suspect who was on the mountain the night that the girls were there, and he heard the gunshot at 1 a.m. That's like the closest lead. And it's kind of crazy how we found him. I, believe it or not, I was buying a t-shirt. This is a crazy story, but no one has heard this story yet. So I bought a t-shirt at a store, like I think it was the Moab Brewery, and it was a large. And I like to use extra large t-shirts. So the next day before we left, I ran in and I exchanged it for a larger size. And I was about to leave the store, and I asked the worker there, I was like, by any chance, did you know Crystal or Kylan? And she was like, no, I didn't, but I know that they went to this church and you should go there. And I was like, okay, what's it called? She told me the name of the church that the girls had gone to before. So then we drove to the church, and it looked closed from the outside, but we knocked on the door and it was open. And there were 2 people in there, and they happened to be there at that moment. And we talked with them for like an hour, and it was there where one of the girls told us that she was at a party, and at the party they overheard this guy who was saying, and it was him, I can't say his name, but he was talking about how he was on the mountain, and he heard a possible gunshot. And then we got his information, and I contacted him. We called him that night, and then we talked with him, and then we told Diane, and then Jason Jensen. But if I hadn't returned my t-shirt for an extra large, we never would have found this lead. It's insane. Like, that's why when we were in Moab, every single chance I had, I would ask random people, hey, did you know Crystal or Kylan? Did you know them? Like, it didn't matter where we were. Like, we asked so many people. And I'm a very shy person. Like, as you guys know, I'm kind of soft. Like, I'm very like soft spoken and like reserved. But like, this made me get out of my comfort zone, and I talked to so many people. But if I hadn't asked that girl, we would never have found this lead. And this lead is important because it puts a timestamp on a certain day and a certain time. So anyways, that was just a really random.
And then we forwarded over to law enforcement, which we were, I believe, told that he did end up speaking to law enforcement. So hopefully he provided them more information or some other clue that could get them progressing onto the next lead. Like it's baby steps, but it works. It works, and that was, luck was in our favor that day to be able to put us in that position to get that information and pass it forward. Good job.
And also, I just want to let you know, there's a lot of people that always sit back and say, let law enforcement do their job. You're interfering with the police investigation. You're doing all this, but this person that we ended up handing over, so to speak, was actually called in once previously, and law enforcement never picked it up and had never interviewed him by the time we spoke with him.
I mean, right? And then we're talking what? That was like 5 months later, 4 months later?
Yes.
And he's still one of the possible witness up there, or maybe involved, who knows, didn't even speak to law enforcement. So, just like how we are on the other case with Summer Wells. I mean, a lot of information that a lot of times law enforcement, I mean, they got rules, laws, policies, and procedures they have to follow. But we, the citizens, we do not. we can go our own ways and our own tactics and whatnot. And sometimes people don't want to speak to law enforcement, but they'll speak to average people. They just don't vibe the law enforcement. I mean, for whatever reasons, but they'll talk to citizens, So I think it's very important for citizens to help on unsolved crimes, especially the longer they drag out.
Mm-hmm.
Because the longer you drag out, there's a very good chance the case goes cold, and we don't want that. We don't want, we want to keep their names in this particular case circulating and putting pressure on law enforcement to do something. Or reveal some of their cards, reveal something else. Because if you reveal something, it could help everyone that's wants answers in this case, outside citizens, to start digging in on that one little piece of information that you could give out to the public that could help. It could help. But I get it too. We do respect law enforcement. We do. We're not bashing Grant County sheriffs or the Moab police. It's a tough job. I was shocked a little bit about the size of the Grant County Sheriff's office. It was a very small building. Doesn't look like there's a lot of sheriffs there. I think, matter of fact, I believe based off the 2000 payroll, they only have like 20 something sheriffs on their payroll. That's not considering where we're from in Florida. I mean, we got agencies with hundreds of law enforcement officers, is that bad? Not necessarily. In a small town, people could talk, but it is worth noting when you have a building, a sheriff's office that's attached to the district attorney's office, and it's about the size of my house.
Another thing is when we left, I think a day or two later, didn't they release a statement, the sheriff's office? They released a statement right when we left, right?
Nobody had heard from them for months, literally months. And we went there and we never even, to be honest with you, let's be honest. Let's talk about this honestly. We never once saw a sheriff's patrol car or a Moab police car the whole time we were walking the streets for several days until the very last day.
Yep. We didn't see anybody.
Nothing.
And it was, I believe that the office of Sheriff White said, we're going to do more patrols up in the area, up at the South Mountain Loop Road, but we didn't see any.
And another thing is, so we went to the sheriff's office. We talked to Lieutenant Neal, and we literally had to beg him to call Diane. And as you guys know, Diane is Crystal Turner's cousin, and she's been emailing and trying to contact the sheriff's office for forever, and they never got back to her. And we were there, and we told him before we left, because we talked with him for like 20 minutes, we were like, could you please reach out to her? And he was like, yeah, like I'll get to it, I promise, whatever. And I even like went out of my way to, I had Diane on the phone, like I had it on speaker, and I went back in and I had the receptionist call Lieutenant, and he came, and I said, I have her on the phone, can you like chat with her, like make sure that you reach out to her? And then he had him exchange his number, or had Diane give her number to him so that he could call her. And then he still didn't call her. Diane's texting me right now. He's never contacted me, not once. We literally begged this man I literally had her on the phone, and he was like, yeah, I'll give you a call. Never gives her a call.
Our experience with that same lieutenant was not a very good experience. I can tell you that. I've got nothing good to say about his techniques or his bedside manner in the least. Pompous is not where you need to have your attitude when you're dealing with a double homicide.
He was so pompous.
In different states, they must have different rules. For instance, in Florida, where I'm at, victims have a lot of rights, and usually law enforcement communicates with the victim's family regularly with updates, or even comfort, or even, victims' rights advocates with the law enforcement. They'll contact them and, just say, hey, we're still on this case. Anything you need, let us know. We're here for you. We're going to help you solve. I don't know if that actually occurs in Utah, but again, it's different rules, different states on how that's handled.
Yeah.
Oh, someone said what was I going to say about Brian Laundrie? So what I was going to say is the girls actually did see Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie in front of Moonflower. They had an altercation, as you guys know. Brian Laundrie hit Gabby, blah, blah, blah. Crystal was picking up Kylan, and they saw it happen, and there was a lot of other people there, and they decided to not call on enforcement because the people like next to them called, so it was taken care of. But we got confirmation from a very close source who said that the girls were talking about like, yeah, like we saw like this guy like hit a girl, blah blah blah, and like they saw it all go down. And what's really creepy is like it's just so odd, and we all talked about this in the car, like that I don't know, these four individuals are now gone, you know, they're no longer here, and they all met, like they somehow they didn't physically meet, they didn't say hi, but they were in the same vicinity, in the same area, and they like saw each other, and now they're all deceased. Like it's just kind of eerie and weird. But I don't know if you guys have something to say about that.
Final Destination-y.
It's just
That's the four people, you know, four. It's the way the world works sometimes. It is coincidence, but it's very odd, to say the least.
Yeah.
Very, very eerie. But I personally do not believe Brian Laundrie had anything to do with it. That's just my personal opinion.
But we had to ask the questions. But
we had to ask
we
the
had
questions.
to ask all the
yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Definitely, you know, and we went in there with an open mind. You know, we went in
Wait,
there
Jonathan, your voice is nasally.
Yeah, so we went in there with an. Oh, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
We went in there with an open mind. You know, we go in there. You know, we have a list of people, and Brian Laundrie was on there, and we just went in there and talked in process of elimination. Yeah, it's still Laundrie's still in the back of my head. Until this case gets solved, he's still in the back of my head. You know, you guys might feel differently, you know, and I'm 99% sure that he's not involved, but it's still that 1% for me.
Mm-hmm. And then we
just
also
because the accountability, just about, you know, based off him being at the Bowen Motel right nearby, where, you know, him suddenly flying out of town, out of Salt Lake City on the 17th. You know, where was Laundrie between the 13th and the 17th? Where was it?
Yeah.
Because there hasn't been any confirmed sightings of him between those days.
And also, you know, one of our big bad, you know, burly persons of interest we had on our murder board when we first showed up, we ended up interviewing. And after interviewing, you know, I mean, he looked great on paper. He did. He looked like he was a pretty bad dude. And we were actually quite nervous about interviewing him. And within 5 minutes, we realized he was, I mean, he's not off the list either. He's still in the back of the list, you know, like Brian Laundrie, but he was definitely not as terrifying after I finally spoke to him as he was going up there when I was about to pee my pants because I was going to have to knock on the murderous door and might get my lights punched out.
Yeah,
I mean, we were told by the Grant County Sheriff that he could punch a female in the face. He said he might punch you in the face, but he wasn't like that. He was actually very cool, calm, collected, nice, respectful. He knew we were recording him. We had the cameras out, and he was just talking to us, you know. And you know, he shared some insight too, you know, and he was curious, and it seems like he wanted to solve too.
Mm-hmm. I think he wants it solved so his name will stay out of people's mouths, is what I really, truly believe. I mean, I don't believe that these girls were firecrackers. For people that don't know these girls, they could handle themselves. I mean, it wasn't that they were ill-equipped to handle themselves. They just were ill-equipped to handle themselves when there was a gun involved. And I just don't believe that this gentleman would have been able to chase them down as it appears that at least Crystal was. And he looked feeble and with a cane. It just didn't match what we would expect in a situation like this.
You know, he just, you know, he made some mistakes in the past, and you know, he's living the last years of his life. and he just doesn't want to be bothered.
And then what was interesting is he told us who he thought did it, and he directed us to a man who worked at the Moonflower, and he was like convinced it was this guy, which, you know, but
we don't know, but we did get we never experienced what we experienced with any other place we went except the Moonflower.
You know, and I would love for the Moonflower employees to come and talk to us, man. You know, just talk. We come in peace. We're not putting Moonflower in a negative light in any way. We're just trying to talk to and get some insight on Kylan's side, you know, with her coworkers and how it worked over there. You know, it's we just want to get answers. Hopefully somebody could come forward and provide us that on their side, you know. So if you're watching this feed, you know, contact one of us, and we're more than glad to talk, to have a conversation. You know, you can remain anonymous. You don't, you know, you just talk to us.
Yeah, we haven't revealed any of our sources yet. You know, we're on live right now. I mean, we do try to protect our sources as much as possible. You know, we do take information that we've acquired if it's legitimate information, and we pass that on to law enforcement. But that's helping the person that's telling us, because they're not the ones having to do it.
Yeah. Somebody knows something.
Somebody knows something.
Oh, definitely.
Somebody knows something.
And let's just describe this for folks. You know, this is just based upon my personal opinion. I'm sure maybe you guys might have share some of the same personal opinions about this case. But when I walked out there, first of all, we went over a lot of possibilities. We went over the person just going in and out of town, you know, with the traveler, we talked about the local, you know, somebody familiar with the case. We talked about, you know, some of the tourists that come in. And I think when we saw, because, you know, taking some knowledge, especially with gunshots, you know, people that are unfamiliar, in my opinion, would be, when they're shooting the gun, be running away. In this case, it appeared that they were shooting the gun and running towards. For example, you know, not to be clinical, if the families are on here, I'm not trying to, you know, but I want to make sure that this is known, is, you know, Kylen, it appears, may have been gunned down first. And then it appears that Crystal was running and was gunned down later up the stream. So, and the reason why I'm saying this is because only somebody comfortable, in my opinion, with the environment would be able, it's the amount of gunshots that went off that make me feel like, one, that this was really personal, two, that this was somebody that was familiar with the area, and three, somebody that appeared to be local, or at least frequent that area quite a bit to be comfortable in that environment. That is just
especially if the murders happen in the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just you got to be very brazen to do that in the middle of the day.
And I just feel like it's somebody in plain sight. I really do. I believe whoever committed this crime is just somebody that they just don't believe would do it, and is just hiding right there in plain sight.
You know, my thoughts, you know, I'm just speculating.
Yeah.
You know, coming back with the camp there in the middle of the night. I mean, are they going to sit there and wait, or is somebody going to be sitting there waiting for them to ambush them in the middle of the night when it's dark, and, you know, shooting somebody? And say, for instance, Crystal was running. I mean, how are you going to see her at night? I mean, it's pitch black out there.
That is true.
You know, you're just going to fire bullets all over the place. You're going to have to really see your target to hit. It's dark. You know, it's pitch black. There's no lights out there except the Whispering Oaks cabins, but probably the light is very faint at that distance. I mean, you know, if you were in the middle of the mountains and you rolled up onto a stranger car in the middle of nowhere, would you get out of your car?
Probably not.
Probably not. So it makes me think it was done in the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
Sometime in the day. I mean, it's just.
Well, we did hear that they were going to be packing up their campsite that morning too. But, you know, with the eyewitness thinking that he heard the gunshots at 1 a.m., it's.
Yeah.
You know.
So remains to be seen. This will be solved. The families will get justice. I'm 100% confident. This people just can't get away with things anymore. There's technology out there. There's satellites. There's phone pings. Witnesses. It's just a lot of people out there. People talk. This will be solved. I'm confident. I'm confident that the parents of both families will get justice soon.
Yeah, and we found out that they had some satellite imagery. I don't know who had. Olivia, do you have that information? Jonathan, do you have that information? We have heard that there was some satellite imagery.
Yes. Let me ask Diane again now. But there is satellite imagery, but we have to purchase it. Again, I have to ask again on the price on that. But that
I
would
thought
be very
somebody
helpful.
else already may have received that, or law enforcement ordered it, or something to that effect.
I'm gonna ask Diane, then I'll update you guys. Just so we can be updated on that. But I'll let you guys know here in a second.
Okay.
Well,
that would be very
my phone is at 5%, so I'm going to bounce off. It's been
Okay.
wonderful. Still on the case. Thank you for everyone. What you guys are doing. Thank you for all the listeners out there that care and are taking the time to listen, because maybe we provided something tonight that could help, or raise antenna or give somebody an idea to check. That's what we're doing here. We're just keeping awareness, keeping their names in the spotlight, their memories in the spotlight, justice for their families. That's what it's about for me, man. And I want answers. I want the people responsible for this held accountable, for sure.
And for those that don't know, just to embarrass Jonathan a little bit more, yesterday was his birthday, so happy birthday to him.
Thank you. Appreciate it. God bless you guys. You guys have a wonderful night. Justice.
Bye, Jonathan. Thank you.
Justice.
Yep.
Justice for Kylen.
Crystal. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now you know I use my computer.
Well, hello there.
On here because it plugged up. Oh, my butt. For those that don't know, I have been on lives all day today. My butt. If you guys keep seeing going out when I get up, it's because my butt hurts.
Oh
my
my
tailbone.
goodness.
I keep going from pillow to. I need a new chair. This is so uncomfortable.
We have to start exercising. When I come home, we're walking together.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
But yeah, in terms of the satellite imagery, there is drone footage. So drone footage thankfully was taken the day of the wedding. So that is being looked at. And some of the satellite images have been purchased, and daily those are being looked over. So that is
Good.
in the works.
Good.
But yeah, I think we touched a lot of stuff. I mean, is there anything that you guys want to know? Because you guys can comment too, questions that you have for us, so we can try and answer. So one of the satellite images was purchased for $1,200, and the other and some were for $400. So it's not cheap, guys. The satellite imagery.
And actually, not taking off a subject from this case here, we're actually considering possibly looking into that for Summer Wells as well.
Yeah.
But we learn stuff, with each case that we deal with, we learn new techniques of doing better. Of course, they all cost money, but we still look at new ways of doing stuff a little bit better. And those satellite imageries might be able to provide us a lot of information. I tell you, this was really emotional, this case here. All these cases are emotional for me, but this case was emotional for me because the way that their love was described between the two of them was something that many people don't feel in a lifetime. And they were just, it appeared in all appearances that they were made for each other and they loved each other. And I always thought it was Crystal that actually loved this van life and loved this free-spirited type of lifestyle. And it wasn't. It was actually Kylen that really loved this van life. It was Crystal that really wanted to settle down. And actually, during our work that we were doing, we actually found out that they may have actually moved up the timeline to go back to Arkansas. That we heard from a few people that it actually may have been coming this spring that we're coming into now. And if that was the case, it's surely sad that, had it been, 6 or 7 months later, they would be having a whole new lifestyle and a whole new life in Hot Springs, Arkansas versus Moab, Utah.
Yeah, that's, and I have a photo here of that Diane showed me of the property, but this was left by Crystal's mother, Bev, who I've spoke with a few times. We text. She's very, very sweet. But I'm gonna try and find the picture of the property. It'll show up here in a second. But yeah, they planned, I think, in April to go out there and start a new life together.
But it originally started with the 5-year plan. And like I said, during our investigation, we were finding out that, Crystal felt really prejudiced and we thought it was based upon their LGBTQ lifestyle. And it actually wasn't. We were thinking before we went out there, the Latter-day Saints organization, the Mormon community, we thought they would be unaccepting of their LGBTQ type of lifestyle. And when we got there, we were pleasantly surprised that was not the case. This area seemed very accepting of their relationship, of their marriage, and they thrived there and people loved them. There was, again, not a horrible thing said about them by all the people we interviewed.
Yeah.
At least 50. Well, we had to have interviewed, and we came back with almost 30 different names. So we've had to have interviewed in the time that we were there, the upwards of 60 people, between 50 and 60 people, maybe more. I mean, I wasn't keeping a list of everybody we spoke with, but we spoke with a lot of people. And again, a lot of people want to say, we were out there vacationing. We were not. We get up at the crack of dawn. And Marissa can explain. She worked with us on summer wells. We get up at the crack of dawn. We get something in our belly, and we hit to work. We get to work. We get to right to work because daylight is burning away quicker than we can think. We just don't have enough time in the day to get all the work we need to get done in that day. So we start very, very early and don't stop until after dark.
Yeah, and we don't want to leave anything left behind. Basically, we want to try and do everything that we can. So sometimes we wake up at like 5 a.m, even though it's painful for me. As you guys know, I'm not a morning person. You, on the other hand, are, but I'm not. But like even at one point, we had Jonathan was walking in the street with flyers, and we all had flyers, and we were walking up to stores. Like I went, we were asking everybody if they knew the girls or had seen them, and I was surprised how many people had crossed paths with Crystal and Kylan, and it was always a positive encounter that they had with them. It's just so tragic. And someone asked like who we personally believe was accountable, and I think it was a local. I think it was a local. That's what I think. I feel like it could have been someone that knew them, or maybe knew them from seeing them from a distance. Maybe they were jealous of this beautiful love that the girls had. But I feel like it could have been a local.
I did, that's what I was conveying, is that it just seemed awful personal. I mean, you got to think these are multiple shots, at least 6 shots that rang out at whatever time they may have rang out, whether it was 1 o'clock in the morning, first light, or in the afternoon or in the evening. It doesn't matter when it happened. For me, it mattered the amount of gunshots that rang out, and those are the ones that actually physically hit the girls. How do we know there wasn't more? Like my handgun has 13 bullets in it. 13. So it makes me wonder, it's just the amount. Like, you have to be really, really comfortable, because I can think if I'm doing a crime and I shoot the gun once, that would almost startle me, to the point of me worrying about whether somebody heard it or not. Here you've got somebody ringing them out. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm sorry, that's what makes me think that it was somebody that was comfortable in that environment to let off that many rounds and to make sure. I mean, this was a person that wanted to make sure these girls were dead. I'm sorry. I know that we have family in this chat, and I don't mean to sound callous in any way, but I'm just trying to paint the picture as to why I'm determining that to be true, is because that just doesn't sound like somebody that's not familiar with that area, or at least frequent that area often.
I agree. And it was from what we heard, again, not exactly confirmed, but we heard that it was around 1 in the morning, that it possibly 1 in the morning where the gunshots were heard. So
And it just
it's just
it coincides with the eyewitness testimony from the friends that they went to visit before they went home. They would have actually made it home around 1 a.m. that morning. And the person that we spoke to did not know we had received that information from another source.
Yeah, that was the thing. So I feel like it could have been someone, even again, the girls were vocal about their campsite when they were at Woody's Tavern. They did say, where they were staying. But again, their close sources said that they were not followed, because they did stay at a friend's house until about midnight, 12:30.
Yeah.
And another thing is the reason why they left that night and went back to their campsite was because of their rabbit, Ruth. They left Ruth there, and their friend, we talked to their friend who was with them, who was the last to see them, and she said that she offered for them to stay at her house, and they said no, like they wanted to get Ruth. So,
and to clarify, they did tell the people at Woody's that they had this creepy guy, but they kind of blew it off. It wasn't until they went to their friend's house later that night, the same one that they left to go back home. They stayed over at her house till like 12:30, like you said. But it wasn't until they were really over there that it appeared that they were more concerned about this creepy guy than anything. And when we were out there at the site, that this is a big area in this particular area. When we're at Warner Lake, the campsites were very close together. But in this particular area, which was not a normal campsite, it wasn't a regulated campsite, so it didn't have a campsite flag or number or anything like that on it. It's just a place that locals knew that they could camp off the road. And this was a big area. Like, there was no reason for people to be on top of each other like they were at Warner Lake. And so when we saw this fire pit really close to their campsite, like this person could literally, there's like a little hedge of bushes where their tent was. Just on the other side of that was where this person was camping out. He was way too close to them, and literally could be watching every move they make by just looking through the bushes. It creeped me out. It creeped me out feeling him that close.
Here's a visual right here.
Yeah, so that's
where my cursor is moving. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but this is where they camped. And then these trees are the only things separating them from this campsite right here. And it's literally, 10 yards?
Not 10 yards. Where that actual pit was literally on the other side of those bushes.
So like 5 yards.
They were on it was ridiculously close.
And then right here is where the creek was, and it's not even a creek, it's like an irrigation. It was muddy. I think I have it like right here. There was a lot of algae. It wasn't like a creek, a bubbling creek. In that area, a lot of cows. There's a lot of cows there, and there was a lot of manure around the creek.
And I think the reason why she's explaining this to you is because some people had alleged that they were probably in the creek bathing.
People thought they were swimming.
A creek that you would bathe yourself in. It was murky. It was dirty. It was not clean. And for a woman, no matter whether we're on the road or not, we have hygiene needs. And this would not be something that would be conducive to a woman's hygiene needs.
Yeah. So that was something that we'd also noticed, because prior to going, I thought that maybe it was like a beautiful bubbling creek, and it was, a wide creek with fresh water, because I love camping. My mother and we used to be avid backpackers back in Washington State, and I always bathed in creeks. Like, I would literally wash myself in creeks all the time. But when I saw this one, it was totally different. Like, that is not somewhere where they were just swimming in. So
No,
it was just
definitely
an
an
interesting
irrigation
observation.
type of
Yeah.
creek. And
They were placed there. So another thing is, this person, I feel, it's possible where this was a personal thing for them to murder the girls, because, they went out of their way to place them in the creek, because both of them were in I don't know. It's so sad. It just feels weird even talking about it.
well,
But
for example, when we got there and we were trying to identify, I literally laid my body in the dirt and in the creek, but that was based upon what we thought the situation was. And then when we talked to Cindy Sue Hunter, we found out that Kylan was actually laying inside that trough under the water. Her whole body was in it and submerged. I thought it was just her head, kind of going from the ground into it. So I laid that way, and it wasn't. She was literally inside the water, under the water, lengthwise with the trough. And that was a little different than what I had anticipated. And it did, after hearing that, appear that they were submerged in that water for a reason. It wasn't something that they would have. It was just odd. It made you feel. That's why Olivia's saying it seems like they were placed there. It does have the element that they may have been placed, maybe to wash DNA off, maybe, something to that effect. But they were, well, at least for Kylan, she was fully submerged under the water.
Mm-hmm. And we did talk to Cindy Sue Hunter, and she was the one who found the girls. We talked with her, and it was very traumatic, but yeah, it was just very sad.
I was actually surprised, with her going into shock the way she did. She was able to remember a lot of the details. There were some details that were just blacked out for her, and that is indicative of a traumatic experience. But her retention of some of the facts were pretty darn good, and I was very pleased to hear that she did have some really good facts to tell us. There were some that she just couldn't remember, like she couldn't remember whether she was facing up, facing down. She couldn't remember, if her body was fully, she couldn't remember some of the details of Kylan, so to speak, but she did remember, like, the blue car. She did remember, she was a little foggy on time, which is also indicative of, a traumatic experience, but she did remember, but it seemed like things were going so fast for her, like she stepped away, and then there was this altercation, not an altercation, but an argument, so to speak, about the rabbit. They didn't want the rabbit going to the animal services. They wanted the rabbit to go with a friend. And so she was able to take the rabbit and feed the rabbit, because the rabbit hadn't had food or water this whole time. The rabbit cage was empty. And so Cindy Sue Hunter was obviously very concerned for the rabbit's well-being, but also did not want the rabbit going into a foster care type of system. They wanted it to stay with friends, so they were able to work with some folks to make that happen.
Speaking of Ruth the rabbit, didn't the sheriffs want to put her to the pound? Like, they were going to bring
Ruth, that's what I said, an animal services type of thing. Yes,
but it was a pound, like not where she could be, adopted.
Oh, shoot, I'm accidentally. I'm trying to look at my thing, and I accidentally called Jonathan. I don't know how I do that. Oh, because I was sorry about that.
But again, guys, so here is like contact information. Here's a picture of Crystal. There's Kylan. Again, if you want to donate to the fundraiser that Brooks made to catch a killer, the GoFundMe, the link will be in this live. So I'm going to be putting it so you can see that there.
Yeah.
But hopefully maybe we can make a trip out, to Moab again, because I feel
There's
like
no
if we had a
hopefully.
few
We're
more-
definitely going back out there.
Yeah.
We're definitely going back out there. It's just a
The-
matter
yeah.
of when.
matter of when, and I feel like if we had a few more days, we were so close. Like it was the last day where, if you guys haven't heard the story yet, where I exchanged my t-shirt for a larger size, and I happened to meet a lady who told us to go to the church, and we went to the church, and they told us about the man who was on the mountain who heard the gunshot. That happened right when we were leaving. So it's like I felt like if we stayed there a few more days, we would have found more information.
Yeah. It was just starting to heat up the day
It was
before.
just starting kind of like the day we left. But someone in that town knows something, and maybe they're scared to say, and maybe they don't even realize what they saw was even valuable until they see somewhere on social media that, we're looking for video footage from the 10th to the 18th. All it takes for someone to be on Twitter or YouTube or on TikTok and see a video that says, because people, they don't realize things sometimes until it's in their face. And they can be
sometimes
like,
it's the smallest, insignificant,
the smallest thing
you can think of that they think is so insignificant, and it's really the key that opens Pandora's box and causes this. So everybody that has been in the Moab area really does need to go back and look at the dates that they were there. We're looking from August 10th now to August 18th. So if you were in that area, you took pictures, you saw anything, nothing that can come of those 8 days. If you have any information, something that seemed harmless at the time, but now in retrospect might be something, call it in. Call it in, and let law enforcement know. Call it in, send it to Jason Jensen, send it to us. We're happy to vet the information. But we need some things moving on this, and the only way we can get things moving is asking the public for help. Law enforcement has been very tight-lipped. Law enforcement is always tight-lipped. I understand it's related to the integrity of their investigation, but I am a true believer that not everything affects the integrity of the investigation. And sometimes when you get to the stalemate area, being pompous and not asking the public for help is really a disservice to the case. And so, I truly believe that somebody just like you knows somebody that's acting weird, knows somebody that may have gotten drunk and said something off the cuff that didn't, make sense at that moment, but now in retrospect might be related. Just go back and think really hard. What weird things happened during those 8 days if you were in the area? Let somebody know. If you are a witness to something, don't be a secret. Even if you were doing criminal activity at the time, these officers could care less what criminal activity you were doing. Just help the family. They don't care. These are homicide detectives. These aren't the drug detectives. These aren't the were you drinking and driving detectives. These weren't those kind of detectives. They could care less about your measly, petty, criminal activity that you could possibly be doing, even with the meth trade and everything. Like, who cares? Who cares? If you were involved, who cares? If you're scared to talk to them, come to us. Reach out to Jason Jensen. Get some information pouring in. But I'm telling you, I understand your position. We're human. We've all made mistakes in our life. Who cares? At this point, it's related to two people that didn't deserve to have their lives snuffed away. They were just starting their lives out together, and they didn't deserve this. So if you have any information, reach out to law enforcement, reach out to us, reach out to Jason Jensen. Any information that is relevant, not your speculation. We're past speculation. We're past. Did you think? We need concrete information, photography, people acting strange, people that were in the area. Those are the names that we need. That's the information that we need. Whether there was helicopters out there, or if the FBI did this search, or if they had the metal, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant at this point. We're past that point. We need hardcore information. People with a 9mm gun that were acting weird. Maybe somebody that was acting weird and got rid of their 9mm gun, sold it private sale. Somebody that had a gun one day and can't tell you what happened to the gun the next day that was around this time frame. Those are some inconsistencies. Those are some things that might cause red flags. Somebody that said they were going to stay in the mountain and then all of a sudden said, oh no, I didn't stay there. I just, stayed in my car over here. Just weird off the wall things that don't match the pattern of that person that you know of. Those are the kinds of information that really could help this. So if you have any of that information, please don't keep it a secret. Reach out to somebody that can help in this case.
Exactly. Everything that you said, it's all in the details. Like, again, the Gatorade bottles. We talked to some sources who knew the girls very well, and they said they had never seen the girls drink Gatorade ever. And this was a pack of Gatorade bottles that was left at their campsite. So, even as something as small as, some creepy guy buying Gatorade that night,
Right.
that could be, something like that could literally be huge. So,
or somebody that picked up Gatorade that should have had a whole mess of Gatorade, then the next day didn't even have anything to drink and needed to go and buy, and you're asking them, well, what happened to all the Gatorade you bought last night? It seems insignificant. It seems it pales in comparison to a murder, and how do you make a leap? But it could be that one tiny piece of insignificant nugget that breaks the case wide open. And you guys need to think, and don't think anything's irrelevant.
yeah. Hold on. So let's see here. In terms of DNA evidence, what is the update on DNA from the girls, taken on the girls?
Well,
What was
I
the
can
last
tell
thing
you
heard
that
on
when we talked to, I can't remember her first name, but it was the district attorney Sloan. I want to say it's Michelle, but I can't confirm that. I don't have my notes in front of me. I should have had them, but I don't. Anyways, she said at the time one of the things that they were waiting on is the actual DNA evidence, and they were kind of at a stalemate because the forensics were not yet in. She couldn't tell me what was tested. She couldn't tell me any information. All she could tell me is that the forensics weren't in. In these type of cases, they got to be very cautious what they say and how they say it. So they do try to give us as much information as they lawfully can, but they can't give us, all the information. They can't tell us when it's going to come in. All she said is if to keep in contact with her, she will give me information as it becomes available with what she's allowed to provide me.
Yeah. So that's the update on the DNA evidence part. Because obviously that's what we really want to know. That would be huge. And
I don't know how to
said,
answer that question.
yeah, that's.
I know people are wanting to know, but I really don't know how to answer that question because we have not been we have no conclusive evidence other than some saying yes, some saying no. So I just think at this point, we just stay away from that question.
Someone said the elite officer offered Gabby Gatorade. I did hear about that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
You never know in a case like this, but I doubt it's a law enforcement officer. I mean, you want to think it's not, but there's always outliers out there. I mean, nothing is ruled out. But I don't know. That's a stretch for me. Those officers they seem like good people. They just they don't have the resources necessary for a double homicide, in my opinion. They're ill-equipped for this type of case. I really think the FBI needs to take this over, or the state police. The Utah State Police needs to take this situation over.
Their FBI did cover this, but it was one woman with a clipboard, literally. And when we talked to the girls at McDonald's, they said that they weren't even interviewed, or they had to fill out a piece of paper, and that was it. They
weren't properly interviewed.
It wasn't properly. Yeah.
I love law enforcement, but we always find mistakes that they make that really affect the cases, and they're human. They can't get
it's all in the details,
but it's all in the details.
Extremely important.
But one of the things I find out is I think the biggest mistake I can and most constructive criticism I can give law enforcement is quit trying to determine what you feel is evidence. Let the crime lab determine what the evidence is and what the evidence isn't. Pick up everything.
Don't choke on your almonds.
Yeah, I know, right? Pick up everything and let the crime lab. I know we don't like making the crime lab do additional work, but I would rather the crime lab do additional work than lose a piece of valuable evidence because somebody did not think it was significant to the case. And we see this time and time again.
Yeah, that's what we always come across. Like with Summer Wells, you know, that neighbor that literally lives next door that was never talked to, and she had some stuff to tell us. You know, little stuff like that is huge. But
and for example, the water bottle for Gabby Petito. I mean, we asked those law enforcement, we pointed it out several times. We asked them to take it. They took the bones that probably were animal bones, but failed to take the water bottle that we said, this looks really zen. This looks like something Gabby Petito in them. And then we, you know, they ended up wanting that water bottle. We turned that water bottle over to them, and it's now in Denver FBI. But it's still, we didn't know conclusively. We couldn't get internet out there. We had no idea whether it was her water bottle or could potentially be her water bottle. It wasn't until we were at the Northport City Police Station on a totally different matter related to those signs, the signs that were taken by this drunken woman from Bartow. We were there with some people filing a complaint against that, and we finally got internet. And of course, Jonathan's looking through all pictures. I think you're looking through all the pictures, and we're like, oh my God, it really was her bottle. And then, you know, we started doing a major social media campaign saying, you know, to the law enforcement, like, hey, we pointed this bottle out. We had you guys on tape refusing to pick it up. And so they did end up reaching out to you, Olivia, and wanting that water bottle. That water bottle is in again, Denver. FBI. But I did want to let people know there's been a lot of rumors that the bottle was planted. First and foremost, we don't plant evidence at crime scenes. That's absolutely insane. We would never put ourselves in legal jeopardy. Like, that is a crime. That is a crime that would put us in jail. Like, what is
people are,
you know, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever said. We would never put ourselves in legal jeopardy. However, we do stumble across things because we're actually out there. You guys look at our work. We actually get out there. We do a several strong effort. We do a pressure campaign. We do a mail campaign. We do an email campaign. We go to law enforcement. We go pull public records. We go and actually get out there and search for the people or for evidence. That's what we do. That's part of the work that we do. And, you know, by doing that work, yes, we stumble across things here and there. We stumbled across the water bottle. We stumbled across, you know, that cleaver head that I had for Kylen Knapp in the Kathleen Moore case. You know, I had to give DNA swabs because I may have came in contact with a piece of critical evidence in a murder investigation.
Yeah, every day I get people saying, "Oh, isn't it so strange and a coincidence that Olivia found Gabby's water bottle and Betty found the murder weapon?"
Jonathan and I were literally the only people out there looking for Kathleen Moore. We came within feet of her body. Feet, folks. Yeah, feet.
Yeah, that's wild, and it's because we, you know, put in the. I don't want to say like, oh, we put in the work.
We do put in the work.
We do.
Nobody else was out there helping us. It was just Jonathan and I, and you were working at the time. Otherwise, you would actually have been out there literally filming all of us.
Yeah. And, you know, it's just because, like, I don't want to talk bad about law enforcement. They do a good job, but again, they're human and they make mistakes, and sometimes they don't notice certain details, and we pick up on the details that they miss. Yeah, we're kind of like the backup, you know.
And you got to think of it like this. You know, they are professionally trained to think a certain way, to do things a certain way. And sometimes that training, in my opinion, keeps them from thinking outside the box because they are trained to stay in these four corners. We are not trained to stay in these four corners. we are actually trained to think outside the box, because we live outside the box. We live outside the box. And not only that, but many of you guys give us ideas too. This is not just for people. This is like hundreds of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it makes me feel good that like I can help, and I'm sure you feel the same way. We can help in any way possible to these families.
Yeah.
Like it gives me purpose. And with Crystal and Kylan, I really hope, I mean, I think we did help, with finding leads,
We
have a
gave them at
timestamp
least
of someone who was
4
there.
names.
Yeah.
3 or 4 names they had never heard before or never looked into. That is huge.
Mm-hmm. And we even, you talked to, I want to say his first name. It is mentioned in episode 1 if you guys watch that, but I have the video. And we talked to him, and we got a totally different perception of him. We were scared prior. I literally thought we were gonna get shot or something was gonna happen.
We would go out to these cases
of what we
prepared
heard
to be shot, folks. Like, seriously,
yeah, I'm prepared to
put
die.
That in our mind, that we are prepared literally to be killed on these cases.
I'm okay with that, honestly. If something
it's
happens to
sauce
me and I die and I get shot,
but we do.
I get killed. That's it. That's life,
And it's so funny because when I was out there meeting the officers in Pasco County to show them where I found that blade and to take the DNA swab and to show them what all we did, it was crazy because they're like, there were water moccasins. I said the only reason why we couldn't get to her is because we didn't have the right gear. I mean, I'm in tennis shoes and shorts, and we have a swamp to go through to get to the fence line to see if she's there, and we couldn't get through the swamp because we didn't have the right gear. And they're like, oh, well, there were quite a few water moccasins out here. And I looked at him. I remember saying something to the effect of, water moccasins, so what? Like, that's the least of our concern when we deal with these cases. Because, I mean, as long as it's not curled up and it's straight and it's moving away from me, I'm perfectly fine with any snake moving away from me. It's the ones that are coming at me or the ones that are springy. Those are the only ones I care about,
Yeah.
So, but we're prepared. We're prepared to get injured on these cases. And you know what? One day, one of us may get injured, and we'll have to deal with that.
I think
that's just part of this lifestyle that we choose to live.
Yeah. I think about that all the time. Like, but, we are prepared, and we understand that. So
I should have been dead years ago. If people don't know my story, you'll know that I was supposed to have died a long time ago. I have lived. I figured if God wanted me, he would have taken me when he had an opportunity. He gave me an opportunity to move forward. And that makes me, I do fear things. I'm not fearless, but I just don't worry anymore. I feel like, when it's my time, it's my time. And this will not scare me. This too shall pass, and I will make it through to the other side. And so far, it has been pleasantly surprised. I'm still here yapping, and I still have people not understanding why I do what I do. So I'm good.
Yeah. No, I think we have a good team too. Like, we complement each other.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
And we always have each other six. We always try to support each other. We always try to build each other up, and quite frankly, when we have bad times or things that pull us down, we talk to each other to get the strength to keep moving, and bounce things off, even personal stuff. Like we've made this little family. And, we work very well together, and we're very thankful for having each other in each other's lives. I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than that. We love each other, and we care, and we have trust in each other. And we know that when somebody's in a dangerous situation, we're all on our toes. We're all looking out for that danger. We're all looking out for each other. And you don't get that by not fully investing in that relationship. So...
we came together for a reason.
Yep.
We definitely did. And with the Moab trip, another thing I want to say is it would not have been possible if it wasn't for our donors. And it was Justin from TikTok. His TikTokers, like, randomly, like, we didn't even plan for this. It just happened during
happened.
and it was all meant to be, because if it wasn't for that, we would not have found the leads that we found.
Because in all fairness, it was Gabby. We were over, and then we were in a chat, and it wasn't even us. That I wasn't even on the chat yet. I was just watching it.
Yeah.
And somebody picks up like, we need to send them out to Moab because they were so close to the Gabby Petito. They wanted to find out if Brian Laundrie could have been involved in this murder. That's, I think, really why they sent us out there. I mean, he wasn't, in our opinion. I mean, he's not off the list, but it just doesn't appear probable. It's possible. Anything's possible, but it doesn't seem probable. And it's funny because after that, then YouTube, surprisingly, the followers in YouTube sent us out to Summer Wells. And so it's like been this whole social media phenomenon of, true crime series that where the public has truly been able to invest and support this kind of work for people like Olivia, myself, Jonathan, Riches, Marissa, to be able to bring this to you live, like, and talk to you and make you part of the crime solving process. It is the most amazing thing I have ever seen in my life. And it brings this factor of not like, Jonathan was talking about the Grand County Sheriff only having 26 people. Some of our county sheriff's department have a couple hundred people. We have opened this up to thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to help in this. This is more boots on the ground than law enforcement could ever possibly put together. And people are willing to invest in helping with these cases. And I got to say, it is one of the most amazing things I have ever seen in my life or ever been blessed to be a part of. I mean, seriously.
I agree. It's very surreal. But it's our purpose, and it's all for a reason, so we can help and, bring justice to the people that don't have a voice anymore.
But without social media, guys, I'm serious.
And social media is huge. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't not be able to do these things.
No.
We wouldn't. So.
And we would, and not only that, but I mean, for Kylen Schulte and Crystal Turner, there would have been no other names added to that list. For Colin Knapp and Kathleen Moore, her body may still be out there. Well, I'm sure by now somebody would have smelt it, but she would still have been out there. It was because of social media bringing people to an area and people actually being able to access that area is what brought that case to justice. And in Gabby Petito, there is no way, in my belief, that they would have been able to find where Gabby Petito was if it wasn't for Red, White, and Bethune and their dash cam. Because I'm telling you, she was so far out there off the beaten path and so far away from their van, even where Red, White, and Bethune saw that van, that without that, you're talking about a major needle in a haystack. And she was so far off in an area that she wasn't even supposed to be in. It would never have happened. It would have never happened.
Social media is huge. And we, it's been a blessing. It also can bring out like the bad in people, but that's just negative stuff on the internet. The internet.
Let's talk about how social media, it can be bad, especially for law enforcement. So those out there don't, make the mistake. So law enforcement has kind of this book of what they do. They use, air, they use ground, air, sea if necessary. They have all these different radars, sonars, and stuff to pick up certain things. So people suggesting those things be used, they're already being used on most of these cases. Bringing in, law enforcement, in my opinion, doesn't mind people calling in tips of, people that could have been, that were out in the time, but there's a lot of leads that are called into them that there is no possibility that this person could be involved. Like it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, and the girlfriend just wants the boyfriend to suffer. So she calls in this lead. So he has to be questioned. There's no time for that. This is not a game. We don't do that. So anybody that has done that in the past, stop doing it. It doesn't help the victim. They need legitimate stuff. If you've got photos, if you know somebody talking about it, those are the leads that they need to hear. Those are the people's names they need to hear. Somebody that was 300 miles away but has a bad record, don't call them in. They were nowhere in the vicinity. There was no means, motive, or opportunity for them to have committed this crime. It's a waste of law enforcement resources. So, we want all leads to come in, but they have to be legitimate. They have to be realistic leads. It's just, you can't think that, your brother Joe in Utah, or excuse me, in Wyoming, would have traveled all the way across to Utah, to Moab, Utah, to kill these girls when he didn't know them and didn't have them, just because he owns a 9mm gun and he's a little cuckoo.
Mm-hmm.
That there's no motive, there's no means, there's no opportunity.
And by us being there physically, we see a different perspective of things. And this is something I'll always talk about, is perspective. Like when we went to Moab, we didn't realize how far away the campsite was from downtown Moab. We didn't realize
Right.
how secluded it was. And then it made us think, wow, this could really be a local, and when you're not physically there and you just see it on TV, or not even on TV, you just kind of you just don't know. So by having us there, it provides different perspective that can be helpful.
Yeah. And we have to admit that so far, the cases that we've covered, what we've heard on social media, what we heard by the mainstream media, and what we experienced in person has always been the polar opposite of what we have been told about each and every one of these cases.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It wasn't until Gabby Petito's case, for sure, I really saw that, how you can't really trust everything that you hear from the media.
Right.
It's wild.
And actually, to be honest, it's sad to say, but you can't trust everything you hear from law enforcement either. I mean, if we had not been there in person, and it had not been there from day one, and Jonathan and I had not been out in that environmental park searching for Brian, we would have believed that there was water chest high and he was floating away. I mean, that was so unrealistic. And the trick photography that was used, especially with that rancher, we disputed that rancher's claim of how high, it looked like they were in a boat going across this thing. And then we realized, after going through it and looking at the area and going back and replaying that video, that we realized the whole time he was on an ATV with tires this big, and the camera was angled down at his tires to see that ripple effect and make it look like it was feet high water, when you're talking about inch high water. Who does that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, yes, we believe that there was flooding in some of the areas, but how deep was the flooding? The flooding in most areas in that area came up to your half calf. So yes, your leg would have been partially submerged underwater, but hardly conducive of somebody, floating or chest high water. I mean, you're talking about 3 feet lower water than what even law enforcement was telling the public. And had we not physically been in the exact areas that they were referring to, we ourselves may have believed what they were saying.
Yeah, the perspective that we provide is authentic. It's just raw. It's the real deal. And it's almost too good to be true sometimes. And that's why people don't believe us. That's why they're like, oh, the bottle had to have been planted. Oh, Andrew didn't find the murder weapon, for Kathleen Moore's case.
Yeah, and it may not be the murder weapon. We just know it was a cleaver head, and they have said adamantly they cannot tell me, but I have never, in my experience, had to give DNA for something that wasn't legitimate evidence. Just saying.
Yeah, and it's almost too good to be true, and that's why people, they don't believe it, but it is what it is,
It's just that we actually work these scenes. That's what people don't understand. We don't we don't go up and hang out and smoke pot and drink with potential persons of interest. We are actually looking for their victims. And, we do a multiple prong approach, and almost every one of those approach always result in us physically going out to different areas and searching those areas for our victims.
That's what we do. We take pictures, videos, everything, and then put it together to show you guys. And that's just kind of what we do. It's like, I don't know what type of reporting you call that, I guess, but
Investigative journalism, baby.
yeah, basically.
And where,
But
you know,
with a
Jonathan's
modern
a
twist.
journalist, which means he's basically part of the story. So I have to say that we are part of that gonzo journalist type of atmosphere as well. Because, you know, to be honest with you, we're part of the story. We're part of every single one of these stories that we get involved in. We were part of the Gabby Petito story. We've been published for, you know, Summer Wells. We were on the news there as being web sleuths and coming in. We even have, you know, some PIs are very ticked off with us, especially here in Florida, feeling like we're taking food out of their money out of their pocket because
true.
our work we do, we don't charge these families anything for the work we do. Our sponsors and our donors, you know, pay for us to do this for them. And that takes a huge weight, especially underprivileged families, such as Kylen, Schulte, and Crystal Turner's.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, because I don't want to go off the path, because this is about Crystal and Kylan. This is the longest live I've ever done. I've never done 2 hours. But this is new for me, doing long lives. I'm getting all greasy. Look at me.
Oh, it happens.
But,
that's why I turn the air conditioning down really cold when I come on here, but every now and again.
Mm-hmm. But again, I have the GoFundMe that Diane created. Again, shout out to Diane. I love her. She is Crystal Turner's cousin, and I've been in contact with her, and she's really.
And this is a legitimate family. Not to cut you off, but this is the legitimate family GoFundMe. We do not handle it. We are just promoting it for the family because they need to raise this money for, you know, Crystal and Kylan. And so we're hoping that we can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'll have the link down below. But yeah, to wrap things up here, we are going to go back to Moab. It's just a matter of when. And we are going to update you guys on what's going on. Episode 2 will be coming out. We talk to more people, and
Laura Trewen, yes, we have spoken with Jason Jensen.
Yeah,
he's been very respectful to us. Yes. We've been very respectful to him. The one conversation we have was a very good, open communication working session. So yes, we submitted to him some of the interviews that had taken place. And he actually referred us, I don't even remember the person's name, I've got it written down somewhere, but he actually referred us another case to look into, but we just didn't have the time, and may circle back to that if it's still open.
Are there any last questions you guys want to ask us before
Thank you.
We leave here?
Amy, what case are you speaking of? Are you speaking of Kylan Kai because we tried to get some of the dog family members. There was a death in the family, and we're unable to participate. But if, you know, Dog and I are not having the best working relationship because Jonathan Lee Riches and myself were out there looking for Kathleen Moore. Nobody was out there helping us. And all of a sudden a PR stunt happened where Dog is taking credit for the find of this young Black woman. And it really irks me because I had such high respect for Dog the bounty hunter until that particular situation, because I know darn well there was nobody out there looking for this poor girl. Nobody. We had to fight tooth and nail just to get media to even pick up this case. And I was only able to get 2 media sources, but they were decent. It was WFLA and Bay News 9 out there to start covering this case with Kathleen Moore. So it really irked me to no end that he just put out this press release. We never saw any of his people out there. And then boom, all of a sudden he's getting all this credit as being out there searching and finding this poor young woman when that was just not the case.
Yeah, that was a weird situation. Yeah, that I don't know why he did that. This is weird. Weird. Are you still there? Are you frozen? Hold on. I think Andra is frozen, guys. I have 2 bars of connection, but so far it's been pretty good. Where is she? She's frozen. Maybe her computer died. Because it's been so long. But you guys can see me, right? Can you see me? I'm so loud. Oh, Andrew just texted me. Oh, she's coming back on. Okay, so she's going to come back on, guys. Don't worry. Her computer just died. How much percentage do I have? I'm pretty good. Do you guys want to see where I am? There's a fire going on. Here, take a walk with me. Hold on. Take a walk with me. This is on my laptop, but look at this fireplace. Isn't that nice? It's relaxing. Oh, there's Andra. Hold on. Okay, there you are.
Stupid computer. I'm putting a new computer on my wish list. This computer has never been right since it dropped, since Southwest dropped it.
Yeah.
And they still have not sent me my claim form. I need to call them and just, I'm obviously missing something because I don't understand.
Oh my gosh. Garden, you're so sweet. That's so sweet. Okay, this is right. But my back hurts so much.
Not as bad as my collarbone does after.
I have mild scoliosis, so it's like really getting to me. But yeah, I'm at a hotel right now, guys, because I'm staying in the mountains with my mom, just for a few days to get out of Florida, and I have no service where I am, so I have to be out here.
Yeah, she went all the way out of her way to make sure that we were able to have this conversation because we had advertised it tonight. So thank you, Olivia.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough on you, I know.
You guys know that
she's going through social media detox right now, and she's climbing the walls.
I know, because I usually post more, but like I can't upload a video unless I'm in town, and it's just, oh well. I'll be home soon, guys. I'll be home soon.
She can't handle it. She's gonna be like, "We gotta go, Mom."
I almost left today, but yeah.
Oh,
anyways,
I've got to tell you, Jonathan's going to be going live on a. It's going to be a no bars hold on questions. He's going to be talking about his past, his where he came from, where he's going, all this stuff that's happened in his life, all the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh, okay.
I believe on the 20th to 21st, he wants us to personally be there with him. So we're going to have to make time to do that for our teammate.
Yeah. Yeah, sweet. We're wrapping up, y'all, because I gotta drive home to my poor dog is alone in the cabin in the.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Waiting for us.
All right,
but
guys.
yeah.
Well, thank you for tuning in. When do you know when episode 2 will be coming out, or?
Not sure, but I will update you guys.
I know you have a lot of work
to
do, and you're doing amazing work. We want to give you kudos and thank you for the job that you've been doing on this case, as well as Summer Wells. I can't even imagine the kind of hours and work that goes into putting a production like this together. But I just want to thank you. I'm very happy. I'm very proud of you, and I'm so happy that you're part of the team.
Well, I love you too.
I love you too.
So, but yeah, guys, again, justice for Kylan and Crystal. Hopefully, their killer is found. Because
and if you guys do not want to go to law enforcement, please reach out to us, normal people.
Exactly.
We are just here to help. But as you can imagine, no family should be suffering this kind of crime without some justice. They need justice. Their lives matter. If you know something, say something. Step up to the plate. Be the hero, not the zero.
Yeah, exactly. Someone knows something in Moab, but they're not saying anything. And yeah, someone knows something. So, okay, y'all.
We will be back. We're going to be going back to Moab. We'll keep you guys posted on this case. Just please stay tuned. We've got a lot of work coming up, and we want to make sure that you guys are part of it because you guys help us as much as we help everybody else. And without you guys, this would not be possible
without you guys. We love you. Okay. Bye, Andra.
Bye,
Bye, everyone.
guys.
Bye.